All
And
right.
we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Marriage Monday with the Tillmans over here on the West Coast and the Bullocks over on the East Coast
East Coast, Florida.
in
What's up?
Florida.
Hey, everybody.
So,
Hope-
welcome back to Marriage Monday. If you're new here, we just say welcome. If you've been here before, we say welcome back.
Right? Hope everybody's having a great start to their week.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. Yep. We had our
Oh, it is. It is Cinco de Mayo. It's
yeah,
today. All right.
we had our food yesterday. Yep.
What did y'all have?
Some tacos.
Some tacos.
Oh, okay. Okay. You did some tacos.
Yeah.
I might have to go up to I like Rubio's keto tacos. They make some good keto tacos.
I never
Yes.
had their keto tacos. What their keto tacos look like?
It's cheese crust or the taco is made out of cheese. The shell is made out of cheese, and then they have, their regular either their baja or chicken or beef, and the rest of the toppings.
Yeah, when we were in Phoenix, that was my spot. I forgot about Rubio. Might have to visit in June.
Y'all don't have one out there?
No.
No, sir.
Oh, okay, okay.
Nope.
We
All
got
right.
more
So,
island feel type of stuff out here.
Yeah.
So
We
Okay.
got Caribbean, we got Cuban, we got what is it? Venezuelan food, Colombian foods. Like I like Colombian foods. Colombian food's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
sweet,
Yeah.
sweet. All right. So, welcome, y'all. We are tonight. We thought we would tackle a subject that, along the lines of rekindling, reigniting. A lot of times, what gets in the way of our relationship or the fire that we got burning is going over that same fight over and over and over again. So tonight we're going to talk about not if you fight, but when you fight, how you can use that. Bless you, Ange. How you can use that energy to grow closer together.
Hmm.
So that's what we're talking about tonight.
Yep. And there is a right way.
And a wrong way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's
To fight.
I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of times the problem is knowing the right way. And it's going to vary for couple to couple
And it
because
takes time too.
yeah, it takes time. So
Yeah. So I guess the question would be how we are. I do want to say we are Miss Kendra. So
Yes.
we love our
Yes.
Kendra, but she's not making it with us tonight. So it's gonna be the three of us. But how would y'all say, Daniel or Dennis, or even me, how would y'all say how have you had to learn how to fight fair in marriage? Or how would you say how we had to learn how to fight fair?
I'll let Daniel answer first.
you gonna throw me under the bus like that, man?
Right.
I think for me is listening.
Yeah.
Fighting fair means I have to listen to what you are saying because a lot of times, and I speak for myself, I don't know how some of you guys feel, but sometimes I feel like I might be right in this particular matter. I don't know if you ever felt like that. You feel like you're right, and you're trying to hold on to your point.
Yeah.
And she's saying her point, and I'm like, yeah, but, and I think sometimes fighting fair is really listening for clarity and being saying, okay, I heard you, and I'm going to validate how you feel in this particular situation because I heard you. So I want to throw it out there. I think really active listening to your spouse in conflict is very important, and it sets up a even playing ground because you're making the decision to not hold on to your point, be in pride. You saying, let me listen to what they're saying, get clarity, get understanding, and then empathize.
Awesome. I like
Yeah.
that.
That's
I've
good.
had to learn to let go of being needing to be right.
Mm.
I always tell couples that we sometimes do have premarital counseling sessions with that you're never going to be 100% right. So and that's kind of, I think, in fights what we try to hold on to is I got to prove my point because I'm right in this, and you need to be able to see that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what I've learned over time is that even you might feel like you right in the moment or whatever. After some time, you go and look back and you're like, you know what? I wasn't right, or I wasn't 100% right, or there was some nuance that I didn't realize in that situation. And so when you end up or when you try to bend your spouse to your point of view,
Mm.
even if you are right, it doesn't end well because now they feel like, you know, uh, crap or not respected or whatever it is while you're trying to get to your point versus trying to, make sure that the relationship is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I've learned over time.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I will say it's definitely a skill set. I think it takes a lot of practice. I know we said that at the beginning, but I think it's kind of like getting to know yourself, getting to know your spouse. Like to me, I feel like you can kind of feel when things are escalating. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh, like, how do I internally not join in? You know what I mean? Or like, or how do I, maybe I already joined in, maybe I already tapped in and said, I'm here for this. But how do I not continue to just go in the direction that I know I don't need to be going in? So for me, a lot of times it's honestly, I think it's a lot of knowing, like I like to call it the rules of engagement, but also to me, it is just a lot of self control. It's like internal talk. I know I talk about internal talk like all the time, but it's what works for me. And to me, that's what I'm saying. It's a skill. You got to learn what works for you. That works for me. It's like, no, Angie, don't take the carrot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, like, no, because the enemy like trying to get you to just go here. Like, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And I'm not always, believe me, I don't always get it right. But to me, that helps. It's like, you know what? Because I think, it can turn into a pattern. You know what I mean? I'm fighting for my way. I want to be heard. I want to be right. And I say it all the time. Sometimes I just internally ask myself, you know what, Angie, you could be wrong. And I could literally be fighting for something that ain't right. Because I think
Yeah,
it's right.
yeah. Because I'm sure you guys see it all the time in couples, because you counsel as well, and even in your own relationship where the conflict just becomes a cycle, right?
Mm.
Same triggers, same reactions, and the same regret when it's all done. Like,
The same
dang, why did I
regret.
do that
Dang
again?
it. Why I say that?
Dang, dang, dang. I know I should have said that.
Oh man.
So here are three patterns that often show up in conflict, and you guys can speak to these, or if you have some others, let us know. And if you have some in the comments, let us know where you're coming in from. If you're on with us right now, or if you're on replay, let us know that you are watching on replay. Let us know where you're coming from. We like to interact. So, three patterns: escalation, avoidance, and triggers from past unresolved hurt. So if any one of those resonate with you guys, you want to expound on that would be awesome. Or if you are chiming in with us here in the comments, let us know if these resonate with you in terms of some of the things that happen when you fight.
Yeah, I would say all of the above. Because I mean, I have definitely dealt with triggers. My main thing used to be avoidance. I don't really do that as much anymore. I'm way more like let's talk about it, or like, yeah, I'm way more like let's talk about it. But escalation and triggers to me can be hard ones, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just talking to a friend of mine where they were not really, or they were self aware that, hey, when I am when I'm triggered, I tend to go to 10. Right. There's no 2, 3, 4. You step on my trigger and I go from 1 to 10.
Step on the bomb and it's on.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm working on it. And I was like, okay, what are you doing to work on it? Right. Because working on it by yourself is sometimes not going to get you there. So what are some things that we can do to work on, breaking the cycle, right? Breaking the cycle of escalation, breaking the cycle of shutting down or of avoiding, important conversations.
Yeah, I think when it comes to escalation, there's many things. It could be something that your spouse said or somebody said something that you disagree with very highly. And I think we are in a culture where we're so far removed from conversations and talking about certain things. I think it's about debating. It's about I gotta be right. My way is the high.
My way or the highway.
Yes, it's kind of like what I see is right, and how I see yours is wrong.
Yeah.
And where escalation starts is that you stop listening to the other person, and all you do is you want to hear yourself come across with your point, whatever that point might be. And escalation could be raising your voice, or one of the things that I see is just keep on going at it. Sometimes you just got to learn how to just let go, let go. And that's why I see escalation happening, is where you just don't want to let go. Avoidance a lot of times happens for me is with other people. If somebody says something that not like you, Daniel, or somebody, me and you, we always have our discussions, and now I'm always, challenged by our conversations. And I don't mind having conversation because I know it's not going to get into escalation. We had one. I remember. I'll never forget that one. We had one. It was a tough one. It was a tough one where we disagreed highly on something. But with other people, I avoid certain things because I feel like it's not worth it. I feel like if I bring it up, what's the point of it? And it really has to depend on the situation and what the timing that I bring it up. And then triggers from past hurts or unresolved hurts. Usually that's kind of with family. I see a lot that, my dad might say something, my mom might say something, brother might say something, kids might say something, or this person next to me, she would say something. And I'll be like, oh, okay, you said that? Okay.
And is that in relation to a conversation or an ongoing thing that you both are aware of, or is it just maybe she stepped on the trigger that she didn't know about?
I guess it depends on the conversation. I think we talked about this even last year. I think the whole we're coming to a good agreement with it, but last year and a little bit of this year was the kids.
Oh yeah.
So with the kids, I would feel strongly about certain things. I felt like I was the bad guy all the time, and she was the good cop. And so, so it was at times where I would disagree how she would come at it, because the kids would come to her first because they knew, what are you going to say, Dad? You know what I'm going to say. Yeah, you're going to say no. Yes. And so they got tired of they was anticipating the no because she's going to give them the yes sometimes.
Yeah, I was about to say that's not always the case.
It's not always the case, but that's how I felt. Mm-hmm. And even when we talk about it, well, you're going to say yes anyway. You're going to be there.
And I'm like, that's, to me, one of the things I will say with conflict is assumptions.
Yeah.
Assumptions are so dangerous in conflict and conversation and just in relationships with people, because you just assume, you're like, okay, well, you're going to be good cop. And I'm like, well, how do you know I'm going to be good cop? I'm not always good cop, but you always put the good cop badge on me. So it's like,
say. And you know what they say about assumptions.
Yeah, yeah. And assumption is
But
not.
here's the thing: this is real. What y'all talked about with the kids is real though, because it's a dynamic in our house as well, where
Mhm.
kids know how to play you. They
Mhm.
know who is going, and depending on the topic, they know who to go to.
Mhm.
'Cause if it's about money and they want some, they're not coming to me first,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
They're going to her first.
Yeah.
She's a little bit softer where they are concerned, where that's concerned, and that might be you, Angie. I don't know, but it might be you.
The thing that I challenged with that with him was like, it's almost like I'm soft, but maybe you need to soften. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Or
okay.
maybe, or maybe I do need to harden in a certain area. But to me, that's the assumption that we were always dealing with, is that I was too soft. And I was like, no, I'm just listening to them. I haven't
So
even made a decision yet. So what we did to cut that off was like, even we had something today. Lauren came to me for something, and our way of stopping the conflict was don't ask me, ask both of us.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Don't come to me. And so she came to me with mom. Da, da, da. I said, and this is literally my answer. I don't know why you coming to me and asking me for something. You already know the situation. You already okay, yeah. Don't ask me. You
So I
can
think
ask us, but don't ask me by myself.
okay. I think if that happened in our household, we would, if we weren't on the same page, we would be like, let us talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we would have to go talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we haven't really explored that one. They don't come to both of
She's
us.
she's coming with stuff that's like not huge. So to me, a lot of times I'm like, either talk to both of us or talk to him first, and then me and him will come and discuss it. But to me, it's made where we were fighting a lot and a lot. Now it's like,
yeah, I don't think it was more about who was harder or who was softer. I think it was more about presentation. And my presentation was a little more, really, you forgot about a test. You forgot about a test. How did you
Mhm.
forget about a test? And so when she hears that, babe, no. You forgot about a test? How'd you
yeah,
forget about a test?
he
And so,
escalates.
and so I'm escalating, I'm avoiding the conversation.
He
So,
escalates.
and so she's like, babe, calm down, calm down.
I'm like, bring it down. Folks are shutting
Yes.
down. Nobody wants to talk no more. I'm like, just calm down. Yeah. And then he get mad at me because I'm not escalating. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to get them to talk.
Yeah, you're trying to keep the lines of communication open, right? Then it's like, no, this on you. Get out of here.
When I was
Uh,
growing up, I didn't have what you had,
Yeah.
and all that type of stuff. And so I think it was more presentation, because I have tendencies when you say a one word. I don't know why it triggers me, but it's kind of like, okay, $150 for hair, but
Oh yeah, her hair
but you
appointments
need
be
to
taking him over.
but you need to pay your car insurance.
yeah.
And so I'm sitting here trying to justify certain things. And then if it seems soft or the assumption is soft, she'll become like, well, we'll work it on out. We'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no,
So, and I think that comes from, and you guys can let me know if I'm out in left field, Angie. I think that comes from Angie being able to empathize with her daughter, being that she has the experiences of having to pay so much money for hair
I was
and going
literally about to say, I know how much getting your hair costs, right? But another solution to that is, not to throw Lauren under the bus, but Lauren is not that great with like budgeting and money. She's just like, ooh, nails, ooh, hair, ooh, you know what I mean? Ooh, clothes, right? Yes, 150 for hair is a real thing. Like that's
hold on,
honestly
Brittany. Hold on, Brittany. Hold on, let me say something.
that's honestly kind of cheap based on what you're getting. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was playing.
But like, so what I have done to kind of solve the problem is now I'm like, okay, mom's just gonna ride you and we're gonna budget. And this is your money for this. This is your money for that. Don't you dare touch that. You know what I mean? So I'm jumping in to help her budget, to help her to understand this is the real world of living, honey. You have to have a budget for that hair, right? So yeah, so I think I would say we're learning as we're going. We're learning how to deal with these kid situations.
See, I'm just getting to the point where I'm able to master the skill of communication with my wife.
And now we're working on
now
the kids.
I got to work on the kids. So it's just like
they about to be out the house, and we just now getting decent with the kiddies. Yes.
Yeah. I be tripping over not just the money, but the amount of time that you ladies have to, give to that. It's like not only hair, I'm talking nails. My daughter was like, I was at the nail salon for 12 hours. I was like, what happened?
Nah, she was kicking it. They was having a party.
No, she was not kicking it. She was not. She was upset, and I don't know what happened. She had some kind of gel or something they had to take off, and man, they be when you go into the nails. First of all, when you go in there, it smells like a paint factory. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm high. And then they go in and they just never come out. Babe, are you okay? Yeah, I'll be out in an hour. 2 hours later, here she comes. It's like, wow.
I literally just told Dennis finding a good hairdresser is like dating, because I have to like you because I'm in there so long. Like, I need to know that we can have a good relationship because I'm in your chair for a couple of, like, probably a minimum of 2 hours at least. A minimum, maybe. But then at the same time, I got to know you can cut, you can style, you can do natural hair, you can do all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, and my hairdressers, they are like, I like love my hairdressers. But yeah, it's a thing. I know we done got off track, but it is a total thing with black hair.
Whole thing. It's a whole day thing too.
It's a whole thing. Yes.
Now I like what Kendra said. Your wife said. She said having a team mindset helps with conflict. And I wish she would be here to explain that, but
she's on the other side of the room. She said she in here.
She's in here. So,
Kendra, if you can add some context to that or elaborate a little bit, but go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, but I understand. Being on one page really does help when she knows how to diffuse them coming to her. She's like, go and talk to your dad, and she knows that. I don't want to talk with dad. I really don't want to let him know that I want $150 for my hair and I don't have the money and he might give it to me. And so what I'm learning now is to repeat words that she says to me. So you need $150. Okay, so let me understand this correctly. You need $150, but you don't have it, right? No, you don't have it. You don't have it. Okay.
So that means you gotta wait. So, but mind you, like I'm saying, we've been married 22 years. I feel like we just crossed over, like not arguing all the time on kids. Like we had dealt with all the other stuff and we had got out of those areas, but kids, and I would say, I feel like kids for me, it was a trigger because I know how I was when I was a kid and what I went through. So for me, it was like, I don't want them going through that. And there were certain things that were triggering me. And then he would have moments like, well, I didn't grow up with that, so you shouldn't be da-da-da-da-da-da. Or he would compare himself to the kids. And I'm like, babe, you paid for private school. Like you worked your way through private school. Our kids, they ain't got that kind of grit. I'm like, so you can't compare. You're not a good comparison. So I would say it's just for those listening, it's like just really be patient with yourself and with your spouse. And I think even talking about presentation, we can be very judgy of each other's presentations at times, and it's just being gracious because it really has taken us 22 years to cross the line where we finally figure like, oh, okay, they're gonna come to me first because they do feel like I'm the softer one. Okay, well then we're gonna cut it because that's causing conflict. You know what I mean? Because they're dividing us pretty much. So we're like, oh, we're not gonna do that anymore. So there's what I say again is figuring out what's the plan of action or what are the things that we're gonna do when these moments come up, and that has helped us. And we've had to adjust. Oh, that didn't work. Let's adjust this. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, now we done settled on this and it's working. Yeah. Praise the Lord.
So it's what Kendra said. It became the team mindset, which means working together, working as one. We're teammates and we're not opponents. That's good, especially when it comes to parenting. And I think that's a very good
That's
point
very good,
because
Casey.
I'm not saying this, but I think sometimes, we as parents trying to, get our kids to come to one side, especially if there's some conflict between the spouses. Sometimes is winning that companionship, that connection with the kids. And what I do enjoy as of lately is our connection with all three of our kids. So we have very good relationships with our kids. My oldest daughter, I text her on a regular basis, and we have our own conversations. There'd be times where I feel like I would be talking when she's talking to her or the kids are talking to her. I come in to miss, and then I sent to her a text message. I said, I know a lot of times when we're talking, you're talking to other people. We haven't talked, and I just want to let you know how much I love you. So I'm sending this in a text, and so she calls me, and then she didn't have my attention because everybody, when she heard they heard her voice. Aaron's on the phone. Hey,
she's
Aaron.
Popular.
Yeah, and so she basically said, "Okay, well, I'll talk to you later, Dad." And so she didn't want to talk anymore because she wanted to it was us that she wanted. And so I love those moments. I love when our kids come asking us, "This is what I'm doing," and so I love those moments. It's just $150 that sometimes it just gets me all riled up.
How do you feel, Daniel, for that? Like I would say, to me, I would probably say, yeah, I think me and Dennis, before we were opponents, I think now we are finally like teamwork on it. How do you feel like for you and Kendra it's been?
In terms of our relation to how we handle the kids?
Yeah.
I feel like we are a team where they are concerned. We definitely have differences of opinion in terms of their getting money from us, for lack of a better word. Like when they need something, I am more of a, I guess I'm on the harder side. She's on the softer side. Like son is away at college, he. So I'm like, hey, I'm paying for your tuition. We have provided, food and shelter and all that. Everything else, you go get it. You make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But she'll be sending him a care package, right? and he know if it call me, ask for a care package, he can be like, I don't even know what that is. I already cared for you because you're in school. You got a truck.
My care is the package. I care for you.
But we don't. I let her be her where that's concerned. She lets me be me where that's concerned, and we don't really argue over it or at this stage in our lives or point in our lives. So I think we're pretty much on. And Kendra, you can chime in over the chat as well. I think we're in that mindset of being a team and not letting at this stage in our lives, we don't let too much bother us where that stuff is concerned, and we just kind of mosey along or move along.
Yeah, we established that Kendra is a big softie, huh?
Gotta let it babies. Gotta let it babies. But I know I was listening to a social media reel, and it was Pharrell, and he was saying, most of us as parents want to give our kids what they didn't have, but he was like, you should have I forgot how he said it, but it was like, you need to let them struggle. And he was like, because us growing up with what we didn't have created grit and different things in us and appreciation for certain things. And he was like, and when we overcompensate, we are hindering our kids from having critical thinking skills and being able to solve problems. And so I think he said controlled, what was it? Controlled, what do you call it when you're struggling? Yeah, I think that's what he called it, like a controlled struggle. Like I'm allowing them to struggle in a controlled environment. Is that, yeah. So I would say when I was listening to him, I was like, that makes sense. But I was like, it's too late. They
yeah, sometimes
I was like, it's too late. They 29, 21, and 18.
Because of how I grew up, I feel like sometimes I heard this before. We got a manufacturer struggle with the kids. You know, it's just kind of like you got to make them work. You know, and I think as they get older, they start to see. I think Chris, with him working and seeing, he's been doing really well for himself, but he sees now what it takes to be an adult, and that's just a fractional part because he's still staying with us. He don't know all the other parts. And I think, again, I'm not trying to say everything attached to finances is being adult like, but you know, I just think I'm learning how to communicate to our kids at this stage, and not always kind of thinking about it from this standpoint of, you know, you need to do this, you need to do this. I asked my son one time, he was talking about, what do you think I needed to do about this? And I just said, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
You know, I said, what would you like to do? You know, and I'm coming comfortable with that. Like, you know, Lauren, now that she's about to graduate, and she had came to me with her little presentation of why she shouldn't have to go to school today. And, you know, I said, you know, you're getting to the age where you're going to have to learn it and you want to figure it out. If you feel like this is the best choice, then that's up to you. You got to make these decisions.
And I was like,
and it was like, no, you didn't.
You know, so, and then it turned out not to be the right choice, but you know, she's learning from it.
Yeah,
you know?
we're like, you're gonna have to deal with it.
You got to live with it, and so
yeah, they do, definitely. That's good stuff. So I got a question for the audience and for you guys as well. What's your conflict style? Right? Are you the one who walks away, or are you the one who needs to talk it out right now? So you guys can drop it in the chat. You know, which one are you? Are you the one that needs to walk away, or are you the one that needs to talk it out right now?
I would say when we first got married, I was shut down. I didn't do either. I just didn't talk about it. Meaning, like, I'm in the room, I'm not walking away. I don't want to necessarily talk about it right now, but I'm here. But I'm not really in a courageous place to have the conversation. Now I'm like, let's talk about it now. But I have learned that the timing's not right. To me, you do have to read a room. And to me, again, that's a skill, like learning your spouse. There is a process of really learning your spouse. And if it's not a good time, I'm like, yep, let's give it a second. We'll come back and we'll talk about it when the room is right, and the environment's right.
Okay.
T Money. And so she said, Brittany said she's the same way as Angie. Well, which way is that, Brittany? Because she kind of gave.
Yeah, I gave two. Are you old Angie or new Angie? There you go.
Mm-hmm. And to add nuance to that, so neither one is bad. Walking away is more like, hey, I got to process, right, before we talk about this. Mm-hmm. Now, how you walk away is important. How you walk? Are you like, you know, hold on, let me go, you know, think this through, or are you slamming doors and running out, right? So that can be important. That is important. And or if you want to talk about it now, are you calmly addressing it, or are you yelling at your spouse like, no, we ain't going nowhere, we're gonna talk about this right now, right? So those are, you know, the nuance. That's the nuance to each one of those situations, and that's an important difference.
Right? Yeah, you got to set it up right, because I think it's like, if you just like, you know, because it's like, you know, there are the cussing Christians, you know what I mean, like, so it's like, are you like, you know, F that, I don't want to talk about that, beep beep, and leaving the room. That's not the way to set up the stage, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so to me, those are things where to me, like, relationships, like self-leadership is a big thing. And self-leadership takes time. And to me, that's why I always say marriage is a maturity plan, because a lot of that maturity is in your self-leadership. There are moments when I don't want to talk about stuff. I don't, but I'm like, you know what? This needs to be talked about. Because if I sit on it, it's going to pile up. It's going to cause a problem. So let's talk about it. Right. But a lot of it, or even what I was talking about earlier, the self-control, I want to say something smart, but is this the right time to say something smart? Nah, not so much. Right. And it's me managing to me, there is a part of managing Angela. You know what I mean? So that we can get to the outcome that we want to get to versus me just fleshing out or having an adult tantrum, which I can do. So it's like, this is not the time or the place for that right now. This is a time and place to get to resolve. But if I have the adult tantrum, or if I don't know, I go back to, 1998 Angie, or maybe 2002 Angie, I don't know, and cuss and stuff or whatever. I ain't done that in forever with him. But like, to me, if I go back, you know what I'm trying to say? It's going to hinder getting to that place of resolving. And to me, I'll say this really quickly. I remember my mom before my dad passed. I was in their kitchen. My dad said something to my mom. And I remember I was like, I remember he walked this way. And I remember I looked like, oh, no, he didn't. And then I looked over here at my mom because I was like, oh, what's she about to say? Because he ain't fully out the room yet. So I was like, oh, I think kid-wise, my face wasn't showing it, but internally I was like, oh. And my mom, she let him leave the room. She didn't say a word. And then when he was fully out the room, I literally asked her, I said, did you hear that? Like what he just said? And she said, yeah, baby, I heard it. I said, you're not going to say nothing? And she was like, no. And I was like, why not? And she said, because you have to learn how to pick your battles. And she's like, and that's not a battle. And I was like, okay, wisdom from Janie. And to me, I look at that too. Like, is this something I just need to let go and forgive and be like, he's having a moment, or am I having a moment? Like, do I need to walk away from this and just think about it for a second? Or is this something that's really worth a fight, argument, battle type thing? And that has helped me out a lot in marriage as well. Just her being that example and being like, you just need to count the cost before you you like the match. And I was like, yeah, that's good. That's good wisdom. Yeah.
I like to talk it out. Unless I feel like I've hit a point of anger for whatever reason, whatever the situation might be. If there's anger there, I like to take some time off, kind of calm down so I can get my thoughts together. I like to kind of process, because we will have tendency. Well, let me say this: I will have a tendency to probably say something that might rub her the wrong way, and sometimes I might switch. So I might be good, and then I'll come back and start playing, and it's not the time to be playing. It's like, okay, listen. But I really prefer to talk it out, because I say this to a lot of people in my sessions. Communication is a art and a skill. But I feel like when it comes to conflict, that's when your communication really is the star, and how you handle that, your communication. The conflict becomes something where it's healthy. You can actually learn from the individual after that situation happened. You learned about yourself. They learned about you. You got stronger. You strengthened your marriage. You strengthened the relationship. Whereas if you diminish communication and you just kind of, just acting and reacting to certain things, then it becomes something where you have to clean up a lot of mess. And we've been saying this as of lately to people, is every marriage is built on some type of foundation. And those are the things where if it's a solid foundation, when the storms of life come, you'll be okay. But if it's on a weak foundation,
like it's sand, huh?
Yeah, it's not the storm. It's not the storm. It's the foundations. It's really the foundation that really causes the house to fall. And so I feel like that's what communication is. If you build your house on a strong, communication is a strong skill set. It becomes an art where you're very interested in your spouse, hearing your spouse, resolving it in a healthy way. Then when the storms of life come, you're able to hold the weight of the situation or the conflict that comes.
I think, in relationships, we just want it quick and easy. And building a foundation take time. Just like we said, it's 22 years and we just done crossed the finish line with communicating with kids, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes time. It takes patience. I think it takes patience with yourself. It takes patience with your spouse. And we say it a lot. And, on these marriage Mondays, it's like, I look at it like I get up in the morning, and when I'm doing my devotional time and spending time with God, I'm choosing God all over again. I'm choosing to connect with him.
That's
I'm
right.
choosing to talk to him. I'm choosing to share the stuff that's on my heart. And it's the same with your spouse. It's a daily, I'm choosing you. And when stuff gets hard, I'm gonna take it back to the cross. But he chose the cross. He made a decision. And I was thinking about that this morning because God asked me to do something hard. I was like, I want to do it. And it was something I need to surrender to. But that's what came up in my heart. Is like he chose discomfort. He chose to deal with something that was hard because of love. And I think in relationships, in order to build that foundation that we need, sometimes we got to make a choice to deal with discomfort. But if we choose to deal with it, it won't last forever. But I think in marriage, if we ignore the discomfort, the hard conversations and things like that, it don't go nowhere. We may think it kind of goes somewhere, but it never goes anywhere. It's still, that elephant is still in the room, and that elephant will hinder your intimacy. It will hinder your communication. It will hinder your trust. So it's like you might as well bite the bullet. It's just finding out how to bite the bullet as a team together. That really works.
Yep. So Anthony has stated here or commented, I want the argument to be over and move on from it. So we're going to address that or talk about that in a little bit. But before we do that, we're going to go to a short commercial break and bring in, wrong one. Let's see here. Or remove that one. There we go.
There we go.
All right. So if you have not heard about the Love for Real Marriage Summit, here you go. Here it is. It's coming up June 6th and 7th in Tempe, Arizona. So if you're already out here in Arizona, no excuse. Go ahead and sign up now. Now, our $147 is gone. So it is $177 now. Or I think it is. That
Sounds right. Yep.
It ended last night. But it's still an excellent deal. And so our theme is refresh, rekindle, reignite. All right. So maybe your marriage just need a little refresher, right? Your fire ain't out. It's just burning low. And it's still, you can still see it from afar, but you want to add some fuel to the fire. Come on out. We're going to have some sessions that will address that, help you do that. And as a couple, people think that you only go to marriage conferences if you're having issues.
Right.
No, not true at all. Not even true for counseling. You don't just go to counseling just because you got issues. So, I mean, most people end up, in front of a counselor because they got something they can't, unlock or get over, or what it might be. Yeah. So the price increased today. Let's see. Go ahead and add that. So Kendra has let us know the price has increased. It increases today. You don't want to miss this. I promise you. So yeah. So refresh and then rekindle. That's more about, hey, it's you can see the embers. They still burning bright on the fire, but there's no flame. Things are kind of we got some stuff that we need to kind of fix, and we got you too. And then there are those of us that the fire might be gone. The thrill might be gone. And, we need to reignite it. You still love your spouse. You still want that union, and you're kind of stuck and don't know how the fire is gone a little cold. So you know how to when you're doing that in the winter, you just take some of those pine needles and throw them on there and poof, get that fire going again. Right. So we're going to help you guys with that as well. Mm-hmm. So this is for everybody across the board, whether you are on the rocks or your marriage is solid as a rock. Come on out and enjoy. Make it a date night, right, y'all? Make it a date night.
Yeah. Because we start out right with some massaging. Come on now.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, so go ahead and talk about that a little bit, Angie. What's going
Well,
on
just like what Kendra just put in the chat, Rich messaged both me and Kendra to show us some videos today of what he's planning to show. And I was like, ooh, it's to me, it is just an awesome opportunity. To me, if you just think about the price, you could spend that. I know me and him, like at our favorite steak joint, we done spent that plus more on like an hour and a half of eating, right? But this on a Friday night to me is an awesome opportunity to get to know how to operate in one of the lanes of intimacy, which is touch, and learn how to do it in a non-sexual way, learning how to minister to our spouses. And mind y'all, we are been praying for this event. We are believing that God is going to show up and meet every couple exactly where they're at. And I believe as we go through the different areas of intimacy, because there's different types of intimacy, sex is just one, but there's different levels of how we can connect with our spouse. And Friday night to me is going to be a great starter.
Yeah, so this is all I'm going to say. I don't want to tell you too much. You just need to come on out and believe the 177 is worth the price. You guys are going to get some great takeaways. So I'm not going to say nothing. Just come on out and see what you're going to get.
And just like Daniel said earlier, don't let the thought that some people really do have that mindset of if I go to a marriage event, it's like me shaming my marriage or saying that something's wrong. No, like we have people who come to counseling all the time who just are like, we're good. We just want to learn. We just want to grow. We want some tools. Marriage is best when it's intentional. And just like we talk about as individuals, self-care and things like that, this is self-care for your marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So go to the website, livingwellmarriage.com. You can see all the information about the event. You can see the information about the sessions from each session leader. We got Pastor Damon and Lady Melissa Davis. We got Vernon and Shanika Daniels, and we got Rich Graves that Angie talked about on that Friday night. Show you how to massage your baby without putting her in knots, So, and we got Angie and Dennis as leading one of the sessions as well. Kendra and I were going to be overall hosts. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun. And our events are very interactive. So you're not going to be sitting there just listening to a lecturer. You're going to have to participate. When you leave, you're going to probably feel it, right? So we are going to enjoy ourselves. It's always good to get together. We always say that it takes a village to raise a marriage, right? So be your village, come on out, interact, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time tonight. All right. Okay, now we are back to our regularly scheduled program.
We're not all kind of songs tonight, little theme songs popping up.
So Anthony had posted, I want the argument to be over and move on from it. So I think that's a let's talk about this right now type attitude. So again, I was talking about, hey, it really depends. Both of these I guess types are okay, right? You can be the type of person that, hey, I want to talk about it now. That's all right. That's who you are. Or you can be that type that's like, I need time to process. That's me. Typically I need to go process. I will listen to you, right? I might not have a whole lot to say in the heat of the moment, but I'm listening and I can go out, write some stuff down, come back, and then we can go for it. But so Anthony, I'd ask you, so your wife is she also the one to let's talk about it and move on? And can you add the context there for you more times than not? And I think from knowing your personality that you're probably the calm type, and you're not the one pointing fingers, stomping your foot, putting it down. Or are you? Maybe you are. I don't know. So
Tawana, you are correct. That is definitely the let's talk about it now attitude.
Yes. So Tawana, who are you in terms of that conflict style? And excuse me if you already dropped that earlier, but drop it again so to be present in the chat and we can talk about it. All right. Dennis and Angie, did you guys? So yeah, you guys already shared yours there. All right, so let's talk about some peacekeeping practices. So if you are, let's say you're struggling here. I mean, Dennis and Angie, they've been married, 20 something years, 22 years, and Kendra and I, we've been married almost 30. And so, we've gone through our twists and turns and things, knots, and we kind of needed it and worked it out. So we're kind of on the other side of being petty and having a whole lot of shouting going on and slamming doors and all that kind of stuff. We put that in our past, so we're here now. So here's some peacemaking practices that we can. One is pause before you pounce, right? So if you are the type that I'm on one, you stepped on my trigger, now I'm on 10. So taking a breath, and I'm gonna give my wife some flowers here. Like when we do premarital counseling, and when you're in counseling, sometimes people go at each other, right? They go at each other, and when they turn back to us, or we call them back to the screen, or if we're in person, it'd be like Kendra would be like, take a breath, breathe in, hold it, breathe out. And it actually calms your nervous system down.
It sure does.
So if you've never used that, I'm going to implore you, right, and encourage you to think about that one. Use that one. Angie, you said it sure does. So what has been your experience with that?
I think for me, I don't have to use it as much with home as I do with other people, especially in counseling sessions where we are dealing with people who are starting to fight and argue. We have had to break up fights. We have had to separate, like physically separate spouses in the room. And for me, that kind of stuff is sometimes can be scary or frightful, or like what's going on. So I can feel myself going like, oh. So I breathe all the time in sessions just to keep myself regulated, right? Or maybe even if I'm doing maybe a presentation or facilitation for work and I'm feeling some kind of way, breathing, it helps greatly just to bring you back to emotional regulation. So when we're talking about fight, flight, or freeze, if one of those is how you communicate when conflict happens, or when you get into a place of being freaked out, that brings you back to the place of peace. It brings you back to emotional regulation. So breathing helps greatly.
Awesome. Okay, another one is use I statements. Instead of saying you never try, I feel, it lowers defenses and opens doors for real connections. Right. Yeah. So if you are I statement user, drop a I statement in the chat. But let's talk about this one a little bit. Do you guys recommend I statements as well in what you do?
100%.
Yeah, I felt like this is the game changer for me, because I got a chance to, usually when I'm holding stuff in or I'm processing, it was hard to say to her how I felt, because I wanted to attack what she said versus how it makes me feel. So now when I talk about, when you said that this is how I felt like it diffuses the what's going on right now. And now she's kind of looking at me and saying, okay, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. And so now we're trying to accommodate the relationship versus the problem. And then once we got, now that we're on the same page, the problem becomes very small, because we're interested in how we're making each other feel now versus what the problem is causing. And then when we see how small the problem is, it's like, man, can't believe we was tripping off of this.
I think
I'll go ahead and cook tonight.
Yeah, I feel like I statements just really help you not to be defensive, because if you walk in the room and you start saying, you know what, Angie, I feel like you never do this, and I feel like you do this, and after a while, by the time you hit the second, well, I feel like you know what I mean? You're internally like,
yeah.
put them up. You know, you like, whoa, you know what I mean? So I feel like it definitely helps to just bring down, and you are able, you know, once again, active listening, being able to listen is a big part of it, of the goal, and it helps you to be able to listen versus feeling attacked or whatever.
And also, I think it also, for those people who want to be right all the time,
That's everybody.
yeah, you're not sticking to a point now. You're really looking at, okay, what you're saying to me doesn't really, what we're talking about doesn't really matter because of how it's making me feel.
Mhm.
And so I think it's like when you start using I am statements, or what's it called, I statements, begin to prioritize the person. Again, I think I already said this. You begin to prioritize the person over the problem.
That's good. That's good. So Kendra says it's obvious to talk about the person who blows up. What about the person who uses silence as a weapon? And this goes to the third point of own your part. Even if you think you're only 10% responsible, own your 10%. That's how you rebuild trust and humility. And the reason I say this kind of goes to that point is because if you are using silence as a weapon, or if you're being silent as, some type of retribution, then you are not owning your part, because just like maybe the other person isn't owning their part by screaming and yelling and not really getting to the root of what's going on. What do you guys think about?
I feel like at the beginning of our marriage, I was like that, but not using it as a weapon in my mind. I just was very scared to be truthful about how I felt. So I was very passive, but I feel like it's the same thing. When you're passive, you're not being honest about your part. I had certain feelings and thoughts and ways that I felt about the situation, but I was too afraid to bring it up. So I was not allowing honesty and my truth to be even a part of the conversation because I was so afraid to talk about it. So I think sometimes when people are quiet, it's not just, some people are quiet because it's punishment. Others are too afraid to really say how they feel. But I think both of them, whether you are yelling, whether you're hiding and passive hiding kind of situation, or you are, I'm not talking to you and I'm truly punishing you, they both are not really taking responsibility for your part.
Yeah, silence for me was a weapon. I'm going to use it, and I was very good at using my weapon.
He was.
I would cut you off and never speak to you again. It's over.
Wow.
No, for real. Like I was,
When I got offended, it ended.
Well, we on the song rhyme track tonight.
And so that was how I was, and I think for our personal experience, it wasn't until I started going into prayer, and you know how the Bible talks about how the Lord will hinder.
If you don't do right by that woman, you don't do right by her.
It would be times I go into prayer and I was like breathing like the Lord was just, I don't know if he's cutting off my breath or something like that, trying to just like do the Darth Vader thing. It's like, I don't know why. Father, see, man, I can't worship you. And it's like you got to deal with how you treat my daughter, and and when I realized I was wrong for doing that, I was able to deal with me and engage the communication with her, and a lot of times it was more establishing. Can you forgive me how I've been treated? But I after a while, it wore on me. It didn't feel comfortable at all, because I would, that first year it was kind of like, Lord, I didn't know that she was going to do this to me.
Kendra getting all like, she got my put them up. Then she got the dark, and she getting it. Kendra getting it. The one thing I want to say really quick, because we are faith people. This is a faith community, and I think we just need to be aware sometimes how much fear plays a part in this. And whether it's I'm not going to talk to you, whether it is I am screaming and yelling, whether it is I'm not talking because I'm scared to bring it up. To me, I ask myself a lot of times too, who in this moment do I want to be my leader? Do I want fear to be my leader? Or do I want faith to be my leader? Do I want God to be my leader? Who do I want to be my leader in this moment? And I always look at trauma as your own David and Goliath experience. There's a lot of times where God is asking us to confront our giant and talk to it, speak truth to it, because that's going to lead to freedom. And a lot of times in our relationships, if we will speak truth and be brave about it, God will help us out. He will help us out. Because I'm a living testament. I used to be extra, extra passive. Like I wouldn't speak at all. I was very extremely passive. Would definitely not say that's who I am anymore. But when you start confronting things, even confronting your own behavior, that's when things can start to change. It's not going to change because we're in a cycle if we're doing the same behavior all the time. It'll start to change when we say, you know what, enough of that. And then ask God to come into the situation and Lord, help me change. We have a community here to help you change. There are counselors and coaches and ministers here to help you change. God doesn't ask us ever to do it by ourselves. So it's just making that decision, like I talked about earlier. He chose the cross. And as disciples of Christ, we're asked to pick up our cross and carry it at times. And sometimes in our marriage, if we do that, it's a game changer.
Yes, yes. So we're in nearing the end of our time here. Tawana, you said, I am guilty of that at times. I believe you're talking about or referring back to when we were talking about using silence as a weapon. Let us know in the chat which one, what the context of that is, because it was a few minutes back. But I did want to make mention of that. And so yeah, Angie, I really liked, who do I want to be my leader? Fear or faith is kind of what I summarized it as there. And so as we end or get near the end here, one of the things I wanted to, challenge this week's challenge. We try to do a challenge. We're trying to do a challenge each week. We did one last week. And this week's challenge is to do 3 things, right? Pause before reacting. So we talked about that and how it can really be beneficial. Speak one truth using your I language versus, pointing fingers and saying you, and then affirm each other after each conversation. Right. So that can be powerful. I know in times when you're in heated fellowships, you don't want to say, you don't want to talk to the other person. But the challenge, right? That's why it's a challenge, is to actually affirm the other person in some way in the midst of going through, your challenge or your conflict. And with that, Angie, if you would pray for marriages where in this area, and then we'll close out after that.
All right. Well, Father God, we thank you that in the midst of our marriages, you are always present. You never leave us. You never forsake us, Father. But you do ask for us to give you space and room to lead and guide us, Father. So no matter what we are dealing with, Father, whether it is we are quiet because we're afraid, whether we are screaming because we are afraid, whether we are using silence as a weapon because we are afraid. Father, help us to know that you are our heavenly Father. You are a good Father. No matter if we had bad parents, good parents, horrible parents, whatever, you are our supernatural Father. You are not like natural man. And you want space to operate in our relationships, space to help us heal, space to help us grow and mature. And you want us free from these things as well. So, Holy Spirit, we invite you into our relationships. We invite you into our marriages. We need you, Lord. In our own way, all we know how to do is just mess up stuff at times. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but Lord, oh, how much do we need you? So, Lord, we invite you into our relationships. We invite you into our conflicts. We invite you into our problems. And Holy Spirit, we ask that you will lead and guide us in the right direction. And I pray, Father, for opening ears, Lord, that people have ears to hear what you have to say, that if there's hard heartedness, Father, that you will soften our hearts and help our hearts to be soft. If we are resisting you in any way, Father, if it's easy for us to have you as a Savior, but hard to have you as a Lord, Lord, help us to surrender to you. Help us to allow you in. Help us to have brave moments where we really allow faith in you to be our leader. And Lord, I just pray that you help all of our relationships, all of our marriages that are in this community, Father, to grow, to just grow to the places that you want it to go, Father, in leaps and bounds. And we just thank you for your presence, and we thank you for your ability to heal and grow and mature and guide and strengthen us. And we just thank you, Father, for your presence. And we thank you that we are loved by you, and that you are our God and our Father, and that you can make anything go better and get better. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. So lastly, so I'm going to drop in the chat a link to a companion guide for tonight. So if you want to, if this resonated with you, and you want to, take the information a little bit further, you use it as a study, get a little more deeper into it. Maybe you are using silence as a weapon. Maybe you are, I got to talk right now and it's not coming off the way you want it to. So we got a little companion guide that's got a prayer in it, that's got a reminder of some of the things that we talked about tonight, as well as you can come back and watch this live. And again, if it did resonate with you, share it with a friend, right? Let's grow together. Don't keep it to yourself. Like they say, don't gatekeep. Get out there, right? So, all right. So that's all I got for this week. You guys got anything before we head out?
Register, y'all.
Register. Yes. Go right now if you haven't registered, and register. And hey, again, sharing is caring. So share it with a friend, even pay for them to come. Pay for them to come on out. God will bless you. He will give you 100-fold on that blessing to your friend. All right. So love you guys, and we will see you back here, same bat time, same bat channel next week. Peace.
Peace. Bye, y'all. Have a good week.